Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Peace and blessings be upon his righteous companions, upon his household, upon all of us who are here, and all those who follow him until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I won't talk about the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today, but I'll just mention two stories that is mentioned in the Quran that we recited in the Salah today. It's in Surah Al-Anbiya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the story of Yunus alayhi salam and Ayyub alayhi salam. And I just want to touch on it briefly, inshallah. If you look at the story of Ayyub alayhi salam, you can see that Ayyub alayhi salam, he's a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even being a prophet of God, he went through many trials. He went through different tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are three specific tests that Ayyub alayhi salam went through. Does anyone know what those three tests are? What are those three tests that Ayyub alayhi salam went through? There are three tests that he went through. He got sick, right?
His family died.
He lost his family. His children died. Right? They were killed by shaitan. And you want to know anything else? Third one.
His woman. Story about his woman when she sell his hair for the food.
Right, but there's a third test though.
Oh.
The wealth. Right. So there are three tests. Basically, he goes through the test of wealth, the test of children, and what's the last one? The test of health. So these are the three tests that Ayyub alayhi salam goes through. And these are the three tests that every one of us is going through in our lives. Yes or no? These are three tests that every human being goes through in our lives. I mean, these are three tests that we all go through in our lives, right? Health, wealth, and children. There are people in this world who can't have children or who don't have children. There are people in this world who have children, but then they die. Something happens, right? So the first example, the first test is the test of wealth. Well, first of all, Ayyub alayhi salam, he's known for repenting. He's known for repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's known for thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's known for patience. He's known for being steadfast. You know what steadfast means? When you go through a test, you still don't doubt. You don't doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If something bad happens to you, you say Alhamdulillah, and you're steadfast, meaning you're patient and you welcome the results of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're happy with the outcome that you go through. So that's what we mean by steadfast. So Ayyub alayhi salam, shaitan was challenging Ayyub alayhi salam because he saw that Ayyub alayhi salam was a person who was thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a good servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him special permission to do different things to Ayyub alayhi salam. So the first was this test of wealth. So the shaitan went and he killed all his his cattle and different types of animals and so on and so forth, took everything away. And then shaitan approached Ayyub alayhi salam to see what he would say. Ayyub alayhi salam, he was being patient, and he said that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second test that he went through was the test of his children. Shaitan, he went to his house and he took the pillars off, and the house collapsed on his family. So they all died. So Ayyub alayhi salam was still content. He knew that this was the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last test that he goes through is the test of health. He gets a disease in his body up until his whole body is basically infected except his tongue. And shaitan comes and tells him that, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing this to you because, how are you gonna react? But still, Ayyub alayhi salam, he reacts in a positive way. He knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing him. And there are beautiful words that he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Anni masani ad-durru wa anta arhamur rahimin. Meaning, I'm going to give you the brief translation that, oh Allah, like disease has affected my whole body, but he said it in such a beautiful way that he's not asking Allah to cure him, but he's asking Allah, please allow my tongue to be safe from that disease so that I'm able to remember you. So we see that Ayyub alayhi salam, he goes through these trials, and these are the trials that we all go through, right? Sometimes we're sick, we fall sick sometimes, and sometimes we feel that we're gonna die. It happened to me 2 nights ago. I felt like I was gonna like just die or something because I couldn't move from my bed. I felt like I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. So sometimes we feel like we're gonna die, but then it's how we react when something happens to us. When something happens to us, and I'm a believer that something bad or good, they're both the same. For a Muslim, there's no such thing as bad, because anything bad that happens, it's either Allah is forgiving you, Allah is descending mercy on you. Every time you make dua, Allah accepts. When you're oppressed, if something bad happens to you, and you make dua to Allah in that state, He will accept your dua. That's one of the peoples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the supplication. So anything bad that happens to a Muslim is actually a good thing, is never a bad thing. So we see that we all go through the test of health, and then we all go through the test of wealth. Whether, I'm a college student. I mean, I just graduated from college. I'm looking for a job and so on and so forth. So I'm going through that test right now. If you want to buy a house, or if you want to buy a new car, or if you want, your son or your daughter to get married or something like that, you have that test. That test is always there. Right? We all go through that test. And then you have the test of children. Some brothers or sisters, they're seeking righteous children. They want a female or a male, or some families, they can't have children. So these are all tests that people go through. But what I want to mention is that Ayyub alayhi salam is a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a prophet of God. Even though he's a prophet of God, Allah tested him. And I know for sure that we do not go through the tests as the prophets, because the prophets, they have to endure much more than us. So that's number one, the story of Ayyub alayhi salam. The second story that I want to mention, and then I'll end inshallah, is the story of Yunus alayhi salam. Yunus alayhi salam, he was giving da'wah to his people, and his people rejected him, and he became very angry, and he left his people. He left his people. And then he went on a boat, and because the boat was very heavy, they had to throw him overboard. And because of that, a fish, if you want to call it a whale or whatever, a whale, swallowed him, and he was in the belly of the whale. And he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made a dua, he said, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Which means, there's none worthy of worship, and glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was, or we are, those who have committed wrongdoing in the past. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him, and he was released from the belly of the whale, and he went back to his people, and he saw that his people accepted Islam, that his people are ready to accept him as a prophet. Why am I mentioning this? Because we live in a place, we live in a town where there are non-Muslims. We live, in Astoria, in Queens, we have non-Muslims. Yes or no? We do, right? So that means that we have a responsibility towards these people, or towards our neighbor, towards those who don't know Islam. It's our duty, it's our responsibility to explain Islam to them the proper way. Just today, before we came here, me and my friend Eden, we went to this Muslim car, and there was these two sisters, two ladies. They're not Muslim, they're from Ireland. They came, and they're buying something, and we're also buying something. They were talking to us. One of us read Quran. We asked them, would you like to hear something, in a nice way? And they said, sure. And one of us read Surah Al-Fatiha, and they said, this is very nice, And then we started talking a little bit about, Islam, and then we started talking about the Middle East and so on and so forth. But the point that I'm trying to mention is that, what I'm trying to say is that it's our responsibility to give da'wah to our non-Muslim brothers and sisters, and we have no excuse, and we shouldn't, and we should always have hope in them. You see, the word qawmi is mentioned in the Quran, right? Qawmi means my people, but you know what that means? Literally, it doesn't just mean my people. It means that you know the people so well, so deeply, that you're able to say, my buddy. It actually means like, hey, my buddy, or hey, that's what it means. I don't know how to explain. I can't explain it deep enough in English, but it means like you're so comfortable with the people that you're saying, Ya qawmi, oh my people. So you will see in the Quran that all the prophets, they would go to their people, their nation, and they would say, Ya qawmi. So my question to all of us here is, how comfortable are we with our neighbors, with our people who are non-Muslims? How comfortable are we with them to say, oh my neighbor, or Ya qawmi? Are we that comfortable? I don't think so. I don't think we're that comfortable. That means we have a job to do. So again, going back, number one, We will all go through trials, but we have to be thankful, continuously thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the meaning of Ramadan, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He gave us. And second, we have a responsibility, which is to share this message, this beautiful message of Islam, this beautiful deen of ours. We should share it with every single person, and we should never feel ashamed of sharing this information, because it's great. We have inherited the message, the responsibility of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there is great honor in that. There is great benefit in that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us.
Amen.
I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve the pain and suffering of all people in this world. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts to His mercy. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our good deeds. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. جزاكم الله خير. May Allah bless you.